Hello, it's Dr. Wyman from Microeconomics, and we are moving on to chapter 9. And I'm going to share a PowerPoint with you. So let's see if I have it up here. No, I don't. So just a second. Let me try to get it. Okay, let me try that again. There it is. Share. Okay, so we're good. This is a very short PowerPoint. We only have 11 slides, but I wanted to show you again what we're doing here. So let me get this going. Okay, so what we're doing is sorry, previous one. We're using the marginal revenue equals marginal cost method. And what is the profit maximizing level of output for a monopolist? So chapter 9 is all about monopoly. So the firm maximizes profit by producing the output where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So let's look at the next slide. So this is an exhibit 5, short run profit maximization for monopolists using the marginal revenue equals marginal cost method. So when we look at this graph, what we're looking at is 5 units of output, because this is where the marginal costs intersect with the marginal revenue. And the maximizing price is $88 because that's where the demand line is on the 5. So you would just follow right up to the demand line from this intersection here. So the profit maximizing price is $88, which we can see it right here. It's just below the 90. And that's where price and cost per unit intersect with the demand curve, which is this letter A. So the average total costs are $50. This was given to us in the information showing the graph, because this is where ATC, right? It's $50. ATC intersects with 5 units. So this is $50 right there. So the profit is calculated by taking $88 and subtracting the $50 to get $38. So 38 times 5 equals $190 per hour of short run profit. So this shaded area here in the green shows the profit is maximized at $190 per hour. Right here, we have that number. And a profit will be made anywhere in the green section that is above the MR curve and the ATC curve. So anywhere in here, you would still be making a profit. You're just not maximized unless you're at this 88 number. But if the monopolist, for example, chose to make 3 units instead of 5 units, the monopolist would have to charge $110 per unit to earn a profit, but the profit would not be maximized. So I also made a chart for this, so we could see how this would work. So you have your units 0 through 12, your price, and you can just, I'm going to go back and forth here. So for price, you're looking at the number of units and where does it fall on the graph. So for example, you have 0, it's at 150. You have 1, it's at 135, right? You have 2, it's at 125. So when you look at all of that, right, you're looking at, or 140, 130, 110. I looked at this more diligently before I started talking to you about it. But you can look back and forth on this and you can see how, what you would have to charge if these were the units that you were making to make a profit. So you have your total revenue. So if you make 1 item, it's $140, 2, it's $260, blah, 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 all the way down. So your profit per unit is $88 minus 50, which is your average total cost. So you have your $88 minus 50 is 38. Your profit maximization is right here. So you're multiplying again. So you have 38 times 0 is 0, 38 times 1 is 38, 38 times 2, and right down the line. And marginal revenue is, subtracting the previous unit from it. So 0 from 140 is 140, 260 minus 140 is 120, 330 minus 260 is 70. So, and you take that right down the line too. So now how did you know that this is short run profit maximization? Well, at $88, you have your total revenue is 440. So you want to look at this. Where does it start going down? Once it starts going down, you stop. So you're at 440 here. And then your profit maximization is at $190 and your marginal revenue is 40. So when you look at this schedule and then you look at the graph, it makes a lot more sense. So I encourage you to go back and forth looking at the schedule. Now the schedule is not in your text or anywhere. I made it for you for this problem just to show you how you can make it easier to understand the graph if you put it in number formats. So just like this, okay? So the next graph just shows you the short run profit maximization for a monopolist using the marginal revenue equals marginal cost method. This is the second slide. So if you see 5 right here, which we already know, this is going to be your max 190. And if you make, less than 2, you're not going to make a profit. And if you make more than 8, you're not going to make a profit. So you just want to make sure that you're looking at this graph. To me, is not as important as the previous one, because this is just showing profit and you can plot that anywhere and you can plot it in different ways. This isn't the only way to plot profit, but they have it in your book like this, so we're using it. Okay, so what conclusion can we make regarding profit maximization by a monopolist? The monopolist always maximizes profit by producing at a price on the elastic segment of its demand curve. So you probably want to go back and review elastic. Elastic means if your product is greater than 1, elastic demand is greater than 1, right? If it's less than 1, it's inelastic. And if it's equal to 1, it's perfectly elastic. So what happens when there are changes in demand or cost conditions that result in no level of output in which a monopolist can earn a profit? The marginal revenue equals marginal cost rule applies to losses as well as to profits. So the firm maximizes profit or minimizes loss by producing the output where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. So this is like your break-even point. You're just putting it out there and there's no reason not to do it, but there's no reason to do it. So to make the item or not make the item. And people do this, they can do it for many reasons. They might do something as a loss leader, or it's a very popular product and they want to have other products that they made. So, it's just like any other brand. If you had, a brand of soap that people just loved it and it was, you knew by your sales, but you really couldn't charge more because you're a price taker, which means that you don't get to decide, because something like soap is market, driven. You don't get to decide what the prices are, right? So, but you may make body lotion that you can earn a profit. So, sometimes businesses do make products where they're not making a profit or much of a profit to keep their other brands going. So that would be one reason why they would want to continue to do it. So let's look at this short run loss minimization for monopolists using the marginal revenue equals marginal cost method. So again, we have a very busy slide. We know what all these mean: marginal cost, average total cost, average variable cost. This is your demand curve and your marginal revenue. So all points on this demand curve are below the average total cost. So they're saying, okay, we can't make profit at all on this. At the intersection of marginal revenue and marginal cost curves, right? The losses will be at a minimum right here. So again, we're at 5, right? So this graph is off a little bit. It's supposed to be 20. So at 5 units, the marginal revenue equals marginal cost with a loss minimizing price of $50 per unit, right here, 50, right? And the average total cost is 70. We see that right here at B. So the loss will be 70 minus 50, or $20 per unit. At 5 units, that equals $100. So it's just the difference between where your demand lands and your average total cost. So 70 minus 50. So your loss is $20. And this is your maximum number, because right here is where your marginal costs equal your marginal revenue. And so it's $20. So I made a chart, or a schedule. So this is the short run loss minimization for a monopolist using the marginal revenue equals marginal cost method. This is the same thing in schedule form. So we're looking at the units, and we had 0 through 12. We had the price given to us. If you look at the charts or graphs in your book, or on the one ahead of the previous slide, right, it tells you the price. Oops, sorry. Oh my gosh. Let me go back here. Previous. Okay. And so you can tell, like, okay, for your prices, what they're going to be. So, one is going to be over here, right? $85. 0 is like 85. So 1 is 80. So we can see all of that, right, by looking at the chart. So then we have our total revenue. So if we sell 1, it's 82, it's 143, it's 195, straight down. Then we have our loss minimization per unit, which is 70 minus 50. So it's $20 right down. And then your loss is going to be the 20. It's going to be $20 each straight down, right? So you're going to have $20 times 1, 20 times 2, 20 times 3, 20 times 4, 20 times 5 is 100, and 120. And then your total revenue minus your loss minimization per unit is going to be 60. So 80 minus 20, 60. 140 minus 40 is 100, 195 minus 60 is 135, straight down. So where are we looking here? How do we know it's 5? Because when we look at total revenue, this is the number we want right here. Anything below 250, we don't want to think about it. We don't want to do it. We're done with that. It's this number. This is the maximum that we're going to produce. And we're going to take a loss of $100 on every 5 units, but it's a short run loss. So at some point, you're hoping that you're going to be able to reduce your cost or raise your price, something. That's why they will sometimes continue to do it. And like I gave you an example before, it's the same thing. They may want to do that just to keep another brand supported or another product supported. And then again, this shows you the loss. This is a minimum loss graph. Okay, so when does the marginal revenue equal marginal cost rule not apply? If the price is below the minimum point on the average variable cost curve, the marginal revenue equals marginal cost rule does not apply and the firm shuts down to minimize losses. So there is a point where they will just stop making the product. And what conclusions can we make regarding profits in the long run for a monopolist? If the positions of a monopolist demand and cost curves give it a profit and nothing disturbs these curves, the monopolist will earn profit in the long run. So as they, I guess it can be partly economies of scale, but also in the long run, they're hoping to improve their brand or be able to bring up the price. Because as we know, monopolists can and do charge higher prices than people who have, or businesses that have competition. Okay, so that is chapter 9. And I think with that information, you'll be able to do your homework with no issues at all. And I will see you for chapter 10. All right, take care.